You quit social media, and something starts watching you back. Not people, not the algorithm. You. You feel fine. And that's the scary part. Because fine isn't relief, it's the end of withdrawal. And when that happens, you gain an advantage. Not a cute self-care advantage, a dangerous one. Most people never find it because they crawl back first. But if you stay off, you'll notice one thing today. It's been running your life for years, and you never caught it happening. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Last night, you opened your phone, out of habit, thumb already moving, but there was nothing to scroll. No feed, no noise. And for a second, you panicked. Not because you missed anyone's posts, because you lost a sedative. You don't call it that, though. You call it just checking real quick. But it was never real quick. It was a tiny escape hatch from your own head. And now the hatch is sealed. That's where it starts. But it gets darker because your brain does something you weren't ready for. It gets quiet. Then it gets honest, and honesty hurts. You're about to understand why most people can't quit, even when they hate it. Hold that thought, because the first advantage looks like peace, but it's actually power. And power quietly changes your relationships in ways nobody ever warns you about. You quit social media, you stop posting, you stop reacting, and suddenly, people don't know you anymore. They knew your highlights, they knew your captions, they knew your soft launches. They didn't know you. They knew your broadcast. Now you go silent. No stories, no proof of life. And something strange happens. The phone stops buzzing. Not because you became unimportant, because you were never really being contacted. You were being consumed. Some friends don't reach out. They just keep watching other people. They didn't lose you. They lost access to you. And that stings. But it also shows you something. A lot of what felt like connection was actually just surveillance. You felt this before, that uneasy feeling right after posting, like you just handed yourself out to strangers. Now, you don't. And people get uncomfortable. They can't quite place you. They can't track your mood. They can't predict your next move. So they fill the gap with assumptions, with gossip. You hear it later. Oh, you're off social? Are you okay? That question isn't concern. It's confusion. Because in their world, existing means being visible. And you just stepped out of frame. That's part one. Visibility used to be your currency. Now you're broke on purpose. And that's exactly why you become dangerous. Because the second advantage is even more uncomfortable. You stop performing. And you start noticing performers. You walk into a restaurant, you see a couple, food arrives, phones come up, smiles switch on, click, pause, delete, try again. And you feel it, that thin layer of performance. You used to do that. You know that face, the I'm happy face, but now it looks off. Not fake exactly, just fragile, like everyone is living 1 inch away from themselves, and you realize it. Most people aren't sharing their lives. They're editing their anxiety. They post to feel real. They post to feel chosen. They post to feel safe. You think it's confidence. It's actually a plea. Tell me I'm still here. When you quit, you stop asking. And that makes people nervous because you're no longer negotiating your worth in public. You don't need a crowd to confirm you exist. That's not just discipline. That's a shift in who you are. And it makes you harder to control because control works best on people who are starving for approval. Social media trains that hunger. It trains you to crave reactions, even from people you can't stand. You used to refresh comments like it was oxygen. You'd tell yourself you didn't care. Then refresh again. Now you don't. And something in your brain changes posture. You stop leaning forward. You start standing still. And standing still feels almost illegal. That's why most people relapse. Not because they miss the content, because they miss the anesthesia. But here's where it escalates. Quitting doesn't just cut out the noise. It removes your shield, the one you used against your own thoughts. So one day, you're driving alone. No podcast running. No scrolling at red lights. No just checking. And the silence hits. You hear your own mind, raw, unfiltered, And things you've been avoiding start surfacing. That message you never sent, that apology still sitting in your chest, that relationship you quietly outgrew but never admitted. And it hurts, like actual pain. And you realize something you weren't expecting. Social media didn't just steal your time. It stole your ability to sit inside discomfort. It stole your tolerance. Every time you felt lonely, you scrolled. Every time you felt insecure, you posted. Every time boredom hit, you dove into strangers' lives. You didn't solve anything. You sedated it. Now you're unsedated. That's the dangerous advantage. Because now you can't be distracted out of your own life. You have to actually deal with it. And once you do, you become rare. Not special, rare. Because most people stay manageable when they're constantly stimulated. They're predictable. They chase trends. They mirror opinions back at each other. They perform moods. But you start moving differently. You text back slower, not to play games, because you're not addicted to urgency anymore. You stop biting on bait posts, on outrage cycles, on drama designed to pull you in, and you start noticing something else. People try to bring you back. They send screenshots. Did you see this? They send reels. You have to watch this. They want you back in the current. Because you leaving makes something in them feel exposed. You become a mirror without even trying. Your silence says, I can live without the feed. And that unsettles people. Because somewhere underneath, they suspect they can't. Now the darkest part. You can quit social media, but you can't quit being known. Someone still tags you. Someone still brings up your name. Someone still tells a version of your story. You're off the grid. But the grid still holds your shape. People will build a version of you without your input. They'll guess. They'll project. They'll narrate. And you'll feel the pull to correct them, to post again, to set the record straight. That's the trap. Because the real advantage isn't disappearing. It's refusing to be defined by other people's attention. Here's the payoff. The dangerous advantage is this. You stop needing an audience to manage your own emotions. That's it. That's the whole thing. And when that need disappears, you become genuinely harder to manipulate. Ads land softer. Trends look almost silly. Drama starts feeling like it belongs to someone else. You don't feel better exactly. You feel clearer. And clarity is threatening. To platforms built on confusion, to people who feed on attention loops, even to friends who got used to having access. Because a clear person doesn't buy as easily, doesn't react as easily, doesn't chase as easily. A clear person chooses. So if you quit social media and you feel fine, don't brush past that. You didn't just delete an app, you interrupted a control system. And now the real question is, was it fading slowly or did you switch it off all at once? Either way, something is different now. Not louder, not happier, more dangerous. Because your life is happening in private. And for the first time in a long time, you actually get to hear what you think.